Welcome back to another CreateQuest post, and today we're going to talk about a photography post from fstoppers.com that I came across, and I think it succinctly describes 5 mindsets that keep us from creating what we love. It's actually a wonderful post, and I'll have it linked in below. And even though the article is about photography, I think the wisdom is universal, and we can apply it to all of our different creative habits, whether that's oil painting, writing, business planning, whatever you do, marketing, this kind of stuff. So we can apply this to anything. So we'll start with number 1 in this video, and then I'm going to be doing the other 4 in later videos. Number 1 is we require perfect conditions and materials. I mean, if I required perfect conditions, I probably wouldn't do these videos. I mean, I got a kitty right here. And many artists feel that they need to have these perfect materials, a studio full of super expensive things just to create anything or just to get started, right? I'm not going to write unless I have the best Mac laptop on the planet, right? Or it has to be just like some creator I love. Unfortunately, once you look at history and how people have created over history, you see that this is disproved all the time. Some of the most amazing works in history have been created with the most not great materials. Yeah. I mean, have a look at Francis Bacon's studio and materials if you don't believe me. Wow. I'm going to show a picture. It's the fact that he can create paintings in that workspace is pretty amazing. But if you read Wikipedia about him, he says his work is among the most acclaimed, expensive, and sought after on the market. If he could do it in that explosion of a studio, wow, I know that I can do it in my studio, even though it's small and all this other kind of stuff. I remember once I was on New Masters Academy, wonderful place for learning technical art, drawing and stuff like that. But I was on New Masters Academy, and one of the teachers on there was making the point that you didn't need perfect materials, right? And so he pulls out a chocolate bar and starts drawing a really wonderful figure with a chocolate bar. You can do it, okay? You can do it. You don't need the best materials. It's not the materials that matter. I mean, anything can make a beautiful mark if wielded with a skilled hand. That's what's important, the skill. In fact, I mean, if you look at a lot of the paintings I do, check out my website, chrisbevan.com, I don't use super expensive materials. I try to keep it cheaper, cheap as possible. I mean, trying to keep it archival but cheap, this kind of thing. I don't really spend a lot on my materials. I don't have to have, this $6,000 brush or the best paints on the market. That kind of thing. And I even remember a teacher once who really knew the history of Rembrandt well, and they told me that in Rembrandt's time, he was using materials that we would consider today to be, the worst materials on the market today. And he created timeless works that are sold, debated, looked at, and fawned upon today. So if he could do it with those materials then, and create historical works, you can definitely do it with your materials today. I mean, imagine some of the most amazing written works on the planet from centuries ago, right? Or millennia ago. Stone tablets, papyrus, one of those old typewriters that made a lot of noise, these kind of things. Absolutely amazing. We don't need to have the latest $6,000 Apple laptop to create a piece of art that lasts forever. So let's bring it back to you. So think about how you're approaching your creative habit, right? Or how you've approached it in the past. At any point in your creative journey, have you put off a session because you didn't have the right materials, or maybe the stars weren't aligned perfectly in some way, and it kept you from creating? Because that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to keep ourselves from creating because of whatever it may be. We flow with it. and we keep creating. We do what we can with what we have. And then how can you simplify your materials, your setup, what you do every day, and put your expression to work right away? And I think that's probably one of the most important parts on this video is we don't want to have a lot of lag time before, between our inspiration and when we get started. And the materials and waiting for perfection to happen, for the muse or whatever to come in, we won't get started. We won't create the works that can change the world. So, yeah, don't wait for the perfect materials. Don't spend all that money. Just start creating right away. Thanks.